Hi, everybody, and welcome to RVing in New England. My name is John DePietro, and it's a pleasure to have you join us tonight. And we are going to be doing a show in two languages. We're going to be doing it in English, and we're going to be doing it in German. And we've got a very special guest who may be a little bit jet lagged, but nevertheless, he's going to be joining us tonight, just as we promised. But first, we want to tell you about a couple things that have an interest to the RVing community, and that's certainly Hurricane Dorian. And what we have been doing is staying in constant contact with our friends in the RV industry in the state of Florida, and also moving right up the coast to South Carolina and North Carolina. And we had a report from William Hill, who's the sales manager at Ocean Grove RV Park in St. Augustine. Many of you remember him because he was a national sales manager for Lance campers for many, many years, and now he's in Florida. And he said that they closed their campground, but the dealership, I said, did you move all your equipment away, all your trailers away? He said, no, we couldn't, but we hunkered everything down. We took all the slides in and et cetera. But they stayed open on Monday for a few hours for people to buy generators and gas cans. So he said that he just showed a video on his Facebook page, William W. Hill, if you want to see that, of St. Augustine Beach, and that looked nothing more than a stormy day. Also, Bob has been in communication with Jeff Hurst, one of the folks involved with Campers Inn, and they've got several locations in Florida. In fact, several up in New England as well, but they're headquartered now down in Jacksonville, and we haven't heard back from them. So our theory is no news is good news. And I saw just a moment ago that Dawn Polk had commented. Let's see if they're here. We can't tell whether they're here or not. However, they had commented just a moment ago, so we know that they're okay. So we want to say hello to everybody who's joined us tonight. By the way, an interesting part about this show is we've even had a couple of our regulars write in and say they weren't going to be with us tonight because they were in an area with no internet. So it's kind of funny. We have the only broadcasted show on Facebook where our listeners check with us to call out if they're not going to be there. So Dawn is there. So hopefully you're okay, Dawn. I know you were doing some work at Topsail Beach. And Ed Laturco is good afternoon. Audrey Foley, good afternoon. Michelle Fontaine is with us as well. I'm sure we'll have several more people join us. But so we want to get on with the topic because we've got about 2,000 photos to show you in a very short period of time. And we want to welcome back our co-host and friend, Bob Zagami. And Bob, I know you just got off a plane yesterday. You had a turbulent ride back. Everything's great. I saw that you were back on the internet today, and you're smiling away. Jack is available readily in Germany.
And also in Hudson.
And well as Hudson, Massachusetts. So, I'm going to get right to the point here. We don't have time to fiddle around like we usually do and kill the first 20 minutes of the show, but you just got back from Germany. You're at Caravan Salon, the largest RV show of its kind in the United States. But I got to ask you this. Somebody said that if you want to get responses to the pictures that you post on Facebook, always post food. So you posted German food. Now, you and I are both Italian. Number one, did you have any Italian food? And secondly, did you find anything over in Germany from someplace that we could relate to, our homeland back in Italy?
Well, I didn't find one from Italy itself, but I did find one manufacturer, Deathless, that has all Italian names. And this was the Cellini, and they have a Da Vinci, and they have an Avanti, and they have a few others. But this was a
Cellini?
Cellini.
Right. Did they have a salami?
Not a salami.
Not a salami. Okay.
But
that would have been the kitchen area anyway.
Well, that's true. I'd like to be able to get this so that I could get that the other way. But let me see. No, it's still not going to work. I don't want to be the star of the show here. I'll let you do that. So we had the Cellini, and that one was a luxury trailer, one of their top-of-the-line trailers. That was probably about $50,000 in U.S. money. But, one of the things that you'll see with all these units is contemporary, custom interiors. The craftsmanship is just unbelievable on them.
They look yacht-like.
They do. A lot of them are very, very contemporary. You know, they certainly are leading edge when it comes to the interior appointments, and very light. This was one of the few dark ones. They kind of shun away from dark ones. It'll be interesting to see how they receive it over there. But this was most all of them were very light in the interiors.
Now, here's what I got to tell our audience, that we've got a lot of photos to show, but if you have a question on anything that you see, whether it's a specific item here or it's something that you're curious about, feel free to ask it down there, and we'll attempt to get the show. But Bob, let's do this. If we don't get through everything tonight, let's just hold over and do part 2 next week, because we always give our viewers an opportunity to ask questions. And at the same time, we want to say hello to Walter Swenson. We want to say hello to Michelle. Again, Michelle says, what's the time difference?
6 hours.
6 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
6 hours time. But I came in late yesterday afternoon, so I'm almost back to normal.
Okay. So I saw some of the stuff that, I knew you were back, even though I texted you, and I think you were in the customs line at the time. But I saw some of the reporting earlier that you mentioned the incredible number of chassis that so many of these products are built on over there. Now here, we have our choice of 3. We have Ford, we have Mercedes, and we have Dodge, pretty much in the United States. Are there more choices of chassis that you can comment on?
Yeah, it was one of the interesting things about the show, John. Because we do have a limited selection here, but when you are over there,
Is that a Volkswagen? Toyota?
They are building on Volkswagen, Ford, Mercedes-Benz, the Dodge ProMaster, which over there, of course, is the Fiat Ducato chassis.
Yeah.
Citroen, Peugeot, Renault, and I could go on and on. So they have a tremendous number. And one of the things that's very interesting is this is a whole new series. You know, we talk about camper vans here, and we look at that as sometimes a Class B. But the camper van is really an SUV that's outfitted for using it both as a car in your normal use, but also as an RV. So you'll see there were probably, there had to be 20 different versions of something like this that has the lift up top. So your bed is on the top, and then you have your chairs for your regular commuting and business travel during the day. Camper vans, and don't mix that up with Class B. That's a European term.
Describe a camper van, because there are different terminologies in different countries.
Right. So they've got this whole new breed over there called camper vans. So they don't do Class A, Class B, Class C, but they have motorhomes, of which the Class B type would be, but this is a camper van. So there's several that are on these, including Toyota. There was let me just find, and bear with me tonight because I have got 77 different photographs in here. So I want to show you the Toyota and what they did with this. And of course I can't find it.
Okay. As you're looking, Bob, I want to ask you a question, because I know I think we've been to Europe 7 or 8 times, and a standard Volkswagen Bug, remember the old Volkswagen Bugs in the United States, would look like a large vehicle over there, especially in Italy with those tiny little Fiats. The roads are not the same over there as here. And the roads around the cities are not the same, and highways are not the same as they are here. So consequently, my guess is that the units have to be smaller, and even if you live anywhere near the city, you don't have room to park.
Well, you're right. And interesting enough, they actually have license restrictions. So the reason you see so many small vans and motorhomes over there is on your regular license, you can drive anything up to 3.5 tons. Now that includes the vehicle and everything you stick in it. So normally they'll go to about 2.8 tons on the vehicle and allow you another 700 or 800 pounds to put in it. Once you go over 3.5 tons, there's another classification between 3.5 and 5 ton, and you pay good money for that. And then over 5 ton to get up to 7.5 ton, it could cost somebody thousands of dollars. So they don't have a lot of money they're not like the Americans that sit there with 2 cars in the driveway, a motorhome, and a boat, and they just don't have that kind of room. So they tend to go to the small units, such as these camper vans. And I just put up, so if you turn that that camper van around. They make them with modular accessories inside, so you can see it has a portable toilet there.
So that's the same unit.
It's the same unit, and they have these portable units that and modules that go in and out. And it could be the toilet module with some classifications. It could be a let me just see where it went here. It could be a kitchen module. So you might take out your back seat and put in this sink and stove, which is self-contained. And then when you get to the campground, it is self-contained. So you take it out of the unit, and that becomes your sink and stove in your campsite.
Interesting. What other units might you have photos of the smaller stuff there for the outdoor fun? In that same category there.
There was a, let me see here. Doop, boop, boop, boop.
Folks, if you have a question of Bob about his trip, you know, where he did for restaurants or anything like that. Did you do a lot of walking?
Interesting you should say that. I walked in 5 days. They have 17 buildings in the complex, 13 of which
wait. How many buildings?
17. It's like a little city, and they use 13 of the buildings. They have over 2.4 million square feet of exhibit space, and they have a building that is just full of luxury motorhomes. They have a building that is filled with vans. They have a building that is built with tents, and they don't have slide outs out there. Very few slide outs, so they buy tents to go onto their the trailers are called caravans. Yeah.
Okay, so you had mentioned, what was the number of square feet?
2.4 million square feet.
Okay, so just as a comparison, because I'm not good with trying to figure out square footage, our Boston show, which many of our viewers are familiar with, how would that show compare to our Boston show?
200,000 square feet.
Compared to?
2.4 million.
Okay, so the Germany show is a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah. a little bit bigger.
Okay. So show us some other photos of that same category if you can.
Yeah, there's I want to find boom, 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 boom. Maybe I tried to restrict it to one of each category, so I probably don't have.
So how about
two of those? Yeah.
Let's kick it up a notch. Anything that's a little cooler than that our viewers would have an interest in. And we should say that these vehicles are all for sale. Do they sell them at RV dealerships, or do they sell them at car dealerships? Is there a difference?
They do have dealerships. Yeah, they do. Is Jason or Joe on yet? I don't know. Maybe
I haven't seen them here yet.
Maybe they're getting ready.
Yeah, Maria is here. Audrey's here. Not going to get what Audrey say. Not going to get through that show in one day. How are the crowds?
Oh, I was there. I was there for 5 days, and I just got a note from my new friends in Germany just before we went on the air. And as of the close of the show today, because again they're 6 hours out from us, they have already had 150,000 people go through the show floor.
Okay.
All right, we should now, seeing that Audrey's on. How's this, Audrey? Can you see that one, Audrey? They actually have, as I said, a building full of luxury motorhomes, and that one is about 400,000 euros. So that would be about $500,000. And on the inside, let's see, do I have 3 pictures up there? Okay, I got 3 pictures up there. So on the inside of that, you would
take me down, but just for a second.
Huh?
You can take me off the big screen just for a second.
No, there we go. No, I got it. There's some of the inside of that.
Wow.
Now, if that isn't of your variety, Audrey, I got something that I'm sure you and Bob would really like to have. It's kind of small, but it might fit in. It might fit in your driveway. It's 1.5 million euros, which is about as close to $2 million as you're going to get. And these are customized.
The way that other car drove right under it.
Huh?
Right. Car drove right under it. He must have seen it at a red light.
It just slides right out with luxury interiors. And then if that isn't quite what you want, and oh, Mascot said you're here, Joe. Okay, Joe.
Joe's here.
Now, Joe, I got one that's a little different. And
okay, but hold on, Bob. If you're going to show something for Joe, you got to have something for Jason.
Well, actually, I'm going to show it for Jason because Joe would need an elevator to get into it.
And Jason would have to step down.
Jason would have to step down. This unit is, again, just about $1 million. And it's run with, it's an off-road vehicle, obviously. It's like a military vehicle. Take anything you want on the back. And let me drop one of those down and show you. It's got a lithium battery compartment that would choke you.
Like a hydraulic lift for a...
yeah, it's got hydraulic lifts for the motorcycles and the boats, the bikes in the back.
Spare tire back there, huh?
What's that?
That's the spare tire?
A couple of spare tires. So that's the lithium power pack. So they can go over a week in the rooftop, wherever they want to go, and the rooftop is full of solar panels too.
Bob, Joe said that's what Rhonda wants, probably so she could hook Joe to the back. And have the whole thing to herself. Oh, there you go. That's the one I want.
She might put Joe in the lithium battery compartment.
Bob, while you're searching through pictures there, Audrey says, that's the one I want. Andy Park says, when's the show coming to the USA? Well, the fact is, they'd have to rent out Disneyland or Disney Worlds in order to fill all the space, or at least, a giant fairgrounds.
Yeah, it's never going to come to the United States. It continues to expand. And one thing, we wanted this to be a fun show, and it is, but you're not going to be able to buy any of this stuff over here. And if they did, it'd be 2 or 3 years out, and some of the technology you won't see here. It's just the nature of the two markets. They're distinctly different. I spent a lot of time talking to the German executives, and also Bob Martin, the CEO of Thor. And of course, Thor bought Heimer this year. So Thor is the world's largest. Let me just put a couple of pictures up here. But they are the world's largest RV manufacturer globally. And they both agree that the exciting thing for the partnership is that they will learn from each other. So there are things that we can learn here, certainly in terms of quality, and people understand that we have to do a better job. And the marketing side of it, the gentleman with Bob Martin's on the right. He's the CEO of Thor. On the left is Martin Brandt, who's the CEO of Heimer Group, Erwin Heimer Group in Germany. And they referred to it as, although it's an acquisition, Thor purchased them, and they now are an $8 billion RV powerhouse. They talk about it as a merger because of the similarities and the things that they can do together to work with that.
Okay. Now, Andy has a very interesting question here. We don't want to get into the whys and wheres, but when you attend the show like this and see the innovative RV designs, does it make you wonder why domestic RV manufacturers continue to turn out the same old designs? Andy probably was very nice when he said that.
Yeah, I bet there were a few other choice words that Andy probably wanted to have, and rightfully so, Andy. You're right. We tend, that's always one of the complaints that we get when we go to the RV shows here in America. Somebody comes out and they say they all look alike. Now, we don't have 2.4 million square feet. Of the 13 halls, 7 of them had RVs in them. The others, some of them, there was one hall with tent. There were 2 halls for suppliers with the Trumas and the LCIs and the Dometics and the Thetfords. But 7 buildings of RVs. But I'd like to see us get better, and I think that's one of the things that Thor looked at. And when you say that, let me jump back, because one of the things that they did at the they did a press conference. There weren't too many press conferences, and everything was in German. It's a German show. Now, I thought Heimer did it very well in the sense that they did the first part of it in English with Martin and Bob, and then the second part with the German people where they introduced a new concept vehicle. Now you guys can forget this because you can't buy it, but this is the future of RVing, and this is a new composite material that was created between Heimer and BASF. It's very lightweight. It's a four-wheel drive vehicle. It's got all kinds of electronics and new technology on the inside. There's actually a staircase on the inside that goes up to that pop-up tent on the top. You can see on the back view, when you open that back door, you can see the kitchen's got a little bit, and there's some seating there.
Yep. Is that on the Sprinter?
It is on the Sprinter chassis.
Yep, the new one.
Completely different design, monocoque design that's very lightweight. And that's the big, it goes back to what we said before about that 3.5 tons. It's got to be justifiable. Now this, if they were to sell this today, it would be selling over $300,000. That's why I say you're not going to be able to buy it. Hold on.
What? I got to stop you for a second here. Because we're talking about all these German and European companies. Did you see any American companies that were, what do you call it, exhibiting there? Were there any American either component manufacturers or suppliers? Did you see any American flags?
We did, more so on the component side, but you do not have to use all of your fingers on one hand to see the number of American manufacturers with an RV product on the show floor. Because, okay, where'd you go? Well, it's tough scrolling through 77 photographs because we don't script this. You don't know what somebody's going to ask for, but I do want to do them justice here.
While you're doing that, I'll go through some of the comments. Rick Kessler's here. He said, dinner simmering. And Rick is so excited. He's a big University of Michigan fan. He's got his logo up there.
Well, I want to thank Rick because it was because of Rick. Let me get that other one off there. So as you can see, the only Rick, let me go thank Rick and Sherm Goldenberg at RV Business because I was able to do freelance writing and photography for them, and they've already posted 2 of the slideshows, 1 of the posts, and we'll have another post tomorrow on RVbusiness.com. Now, granted, that's a trade publication, and we're doing this for the trade people, but consumers can go there and check it out. But we'll have 2 more posts. So there's your only American manufacturer, and it was through one of their distributors, Airstream. Yeah, that is the only one on the show.
See, Bob, I noticed here, I wanted to see if Kessler was listening or whether he just checked in. By the way, we should say this is very rare to have Kessler join us in the first half of the show.
Well, he's done better lately. He's done better lately.
But I saw that logo and I said, let's say Michigan State, because the thing I found out is that Michigan State people and Michigan people, they don't like each other. So he said, no, Michigan State. Now, Walter said Airstream right away. He got it right away. And ironic part is Airstream was, a Thor company. And
it is a Thor company.
Do it that way there. Now,
well, I'll tell you, one thing that Thor did, that there were American companies over there and we didn't catch up. There weren't a lot. Winnebago was there, but I didn't catch up with anybody from Winnebago. The Rev Group was there on that. So they go over because they get a lot of their ideas from there. And going back to the Thor Heimer Group, one of the things that they hope to achieve is significant cost savings with the commonality of suppliers and producers. So because they buy from Dometic in Europe and they buy from Dometic in the United States. So they're going to have, volume purchasing there. I want to go back to the comment from Susan Thompson. She may not remember, but I love her comment because she says you can't pull up the Beach Bagel in that. And you're right. And I'm not sure if she was talking about the big monster RV, but
but Jason just pulled in.
He
just drove in his truck. So Jason, we've got this. Bob was thinking of you, and he found this specially for you. And they're going to deliver it to Westboro, to the Cumberland Farms in Westboro. You're gonna get it at the headquarters there.
And it would take all the gas in all the tanks of one of your Cumberland Farms stores to fill this baby up. But I said to Joe, the only thing we'd have to do is put an elevator in so Joe could ride with you. But we can throw him in the back compartment.
Yeah, well, there's a ladder he can probably get up with.
That's true.
So, Bob, along those same lines, you just showed Airstream. Were there any other European models there that were of the high-end quality of an Airstream in the United States? Did you see any that seemed to duplicate that particular category?
Yeah. Good question, John. Here you go. This was a Stella, and this is it is on wheels. It's kind of like a park model on wheels. They call it a holiday house on wheels, but it is a tremendous high-end trailer that, let me just show the inside because I was so quick to pull it up.
Yeah.
I forgot to show.
Very low to the ground. Is there a deck? Is it on a deck?
It's on a deck.
Caged on a deck. Okay.
Yeah,
Bob, another thing I'm noticing is that the exterior of these seem to be made out of different material than. Did you see any stick and tin?
No stick and tin at all, and that refers to an RV term for the strip aluminum and.
But these seem to have very lustrous coatings on them. Am I right?
Yeah, a lot of fiberglass, a lot of new materials, actually composite materials. They're doing a lot of research over there on lighter materials, again, because of the weight restrictions on their normal license, and they don't want to spend that extra money to get a heavier vehicle unless they can afford to have both a car and an RV. Now, I will tell you that we had at the fairgrounds, they have a campground. It's not really a campground. It's a very large parking lot, and they park the caravans, the trailers, and motorhomes in straight lines, just one next to the other, a little grass area. They have 3,500 people camping out there this week for the whole week. It's the whole 10 days. And they are on the grounds, and now it's different because you don't have any facilities. So what they do is they have a large setup in several points of the campground, parking lot, if you will, with bathroom facilities for showers, bathroom facilities. And you have to go up and get your water in a container, or you have to go out and you'll have a mobile dumping tank to take that up to that headquarters. And then they have restaurant facilities that are open almost 24 hours a day, so that you really don't even have to cook if you don't want to when you get back to the campground. But can you imagine any show in this country that would have 3,500 people camp out for a week to see everything that you've got at the show?
No. Hey, Bob, I'm thinking of something, and this is, we have not discussed this. We not have rehearsed it.
We don't do that stuff, right?
You know what? With the number of people that we have here, this show obviously is open to the public. We should look into, or at least explore the opportunity of doing a little group trip there to this event next year, and let people start saving up for it now. Flying into, doing the flight. You can fly directly from Boston, right? You just had one stop?
John,
you be the tour guide.
We are brothers from a different mother. I did an interview with Stefan Kochke, who is the managing director of the entire event. And they did publish that, although I don't think they used that question. RV Business did publish part of my interview with them the other day. And that was exactly one of the questions that I posed to him. I said, I don't see any Americans here. And they weren't. I mean, it was everybody from Europe. People came from all over Europe. When they say they get 250,000 people, they're from all over Europe. And he said they don't do it. Now they have they have a 50-unit group of people coming from China to the show. And I said, well, why can't we just organize a group from our own community and go over next year? And I mean, it would be expensive. It would probably be a $5,000 trip, but not that you would go over to buy something, but those of us who are crazy enough to love RVs and love camping and do the things that we do, there are a lot of people who would really love to see this. I'm telling you, I was like a kid in a candy store. I went from the hotel to the fairgrounds, back to the hotel, back to the fairgrounds, back to the hotel, back to the fair. I only took 3 hours out one night, and went to Old Town because Greg Gerber told me I should go down there and have some great Wiener Schnitzel. And I did have two. And Rhonda, I'm not sure if you got my second note, but the second night I took a picture and sent it to you because you told me to have one for you. So I had a second one for you downtown in the Old Town.
Now,
there's an interior shot of that trailer.
I'm going to make an executive decision right now and say that there's absolutely no way in the world that we are going to, I mean, it's 7:31. There's no way in the world we're going to finish this whole thing tonight because we've got about 7 customer questions. So why don't we do this? Rather than try to rush, let's take our questions and realize that, you know, it will probably be next week to get this done. And let me go back to some of these questions here while you search for the next slide that you want.
But do your 2-bit.
Yeah. Okay, I'll do that too.
This is important. I want this show to break Don Clark's record.
Right. So and we're going to see Clark in 3 weeks.
This is personal.
You know, it's going to look a little self-serving to have you be the record holder of all the shows. But anyway, folks, what we want to do is have you share this, and we know who shares it. So we know who our favorite friends are that share this because we know we get a little note that says blank blank shared this show. So just share the darn show. And there's some great information here, some great photos. And the greatest thing here is the questions that these guys have, Tom. I mean, like Tom Zabrowski says, we in the USA just need a little better quality control. I mean, look, we're halfway through the show. We already got 42 comments. I want to go back here a little bit more. Susan Thompson was referring to the beach place up in Maine.
Let me answer. Rick's got a question here. He says, what types of products did you see from suppliers that we don't have over here? Good question, Rick. Trumer introduced a new smaller air conditioner that's just going to be sold in Germany for those camper vans, the smaller camper vans. That might find its way over to the United States because as more of these manufacturers put solar panels on the roof, they want to use less real estate for the air conditioners. And Trumer also had a new combo unit that actually generates hot water through electrical heat elements in addition to the propane. It's a little bit different. They do it with propane and electricity here, and that was available to it. LCI and LCI supplies a ton of stuff to everybody that makes anything in America. But interesting enough, everything in their display was made by one of their Italian-owned companies. There was nothing there from their American divisions. So and a lot of the manufacturers do go over. It's a question of price, number one, because it costs you more to get it over here, and quantity, because we sell so many different varieties here, and which they do in Europe too. It's tough to forecast when you start to negotiate big contracts on these supplies. So yes, there were several there, Rick, but I don't think we're going to see more than a handful of them find their way over here.
Okay. So, Bob, I have a question. Joe Cavosa said something very interesting. So, yeah. So it looks like they take pride in their coaches. Now, with that being said, did you notice anything with the reps? And again, I know there was a language barrier. When they were showing products to customers, or were there no reps around and just customers running through rampantly? But did it look like the reps had an interest, or it looked like they're killing time being there? I describe that environment.
Who asked that question, Joe?
Joe, it looks like they take pride in their coaches.
Joe, you get a star, Joe, because one of the things that is distinctly different about Caravan Salon is no matter what show you go to in the United States, or no matter what dealer's lot you go to for an open house, but more so on the shows, they try to cram in as many RVs as possible. So an RV show in the United States, and there are some people that may not like this comment, but these are good friends. These are good friends. We're all in the RV business. We're all loving the RV lifestyle. An RV show in the United States is nothing more than an enlarged open house at a dealer open house. They cram them in. They're side by side. There's not enough room. And it creates an uncomfortable environment for some people who want to buy, because you have to do it right on the spot, or you have to you only see that one. The reason they take so many buildings is that they spread out their displays. I mean, it's within a manufacturer's display. Now, Heimer took one entire building, and within that building and within their displays, they had a restaurant. They had a closing area for the salespeople. They had enough room. You could put 100 or 200 people around any RV around. There's no such thing as two RVs side by side unless they're showing the new products. And as the person's coming down the aisle, they want to show them the front end and the rear end of that product in one shot. And then on top of that, they have information booths, not one. They might have, I think Heimer had 4 in their building. Information to tell you everything, a map of every product that was out there, charts that showed every product, every floor plan, every conceivable combination that they would have. And I'd say at least 10 of them had children's play areas, not a couple of little toys. They had children's play areas that looked like one of our daycare centers. So that if the parents want to take a break, or if the dad, well, let's go the other way. Mom wants to go out and look at some trailers or motorhomes, and dad can sit in the play area with the kids, face painting, snacks. It's an entirely different world. I see where Walter said he can find a business reason. You of many of our viewers, Walter, you're right.
Yeah.
You have to find a way to be in Germany next year.
Forget that India trip.
Huh?
Forget that India trip.
Right, that's right. But that is, it's just, I mean, I was blown away. I was told for years how different this was, and it certainly was different.
Okay.
But the quality of the product was exceptional. The creativity of the designs was exceptional. And let me show you something. It isn't all one way either. Let me just bring this up, and let me go down here, pull that off, and let me bring up.
Let me ask you a question, because Audrey earlier said you're not going to make, all this.
You don't think so? You don't think so, Audrey?
No. You're not going to make the whole show in one day. That's why it took you.
No.
However, Audrey, it should be pointed out that when Bob goes to a show, he is 100% into the show. He's there at the opening bell, and he's there at the closing bell. And unless there's a Jack Daniels stand nearby, he's out snapping pictures, as evidenced by this. So the casual observer who, might look at a couple units, then go sit down and go have a beer. Did they serve beer and stuff in the show?
In the displays, they have full bars and German beer. Okay. But nobody abuses it. It's just, it's like us in America. You want to stop and have a lemonade. Germans drink beer. So you get a selection of beers outside. And then as the complex, the buildings go all around the big square. In the middle of that square, they have what they call them mobile homes, but they're the equivalent of our park model homes and our destination campers. They had an outdoor play area for the kids. So in addition to all the indoor ones that were specific to a manufacturer, they had an outdoor play area for the kids, a rock climbing wall. I mean, it's just crazy stuff. And then out there were several beer distributors. There was bratwurst, there was sausages, there was Wiener Schnitzel, there was, and I got to tell you, I hope Dawn's still on here, because we played games with her. There was actually only one of all the space. There was a veggie food truck. So I took a picture the first day and I sent it to Dawn, and I said, "Hey, Dawn, the woman in the truck is waiting for you to come over and buy something." So that was the day of setup to do that. Well, damn, if I don't go back, Rick's got the question there. So I go back the next day when the consumer show opens up. So picture this. I didn't want to use up. I mean, I took 1,500 pictures. So you're only seeing, I got 77 on here, and you're probably going to see 30 of them. But there's this veggie truck, food truck, and it's next to a barbecue food truck. I mean, an American barbecue, pulled chicken, pulled pork, you name it. So the second day I go back and I look, and I'm devastated. The line in the veggie truck is longer than the barbecue truck.
That's all the time we have tonight, folks. Don't tell her that.
But I was a big boy. Okay, Rick Kessler says, why was there a line at the veggie food stand and not at the barbecue? Well, they eat healthier than we do. They're in shape, and I practice good stuff. I think for those that joined a little bit later, I think I mentioned that I walked 28 miles in 5 days.
Yeah.
I don't walk 28 miles in 5 months, so that might.
So we should tell the people that might be just joining us. I see a lot of people just tuning in that we're talking about the world's largest RV show that our friend Bob Zagami just returned from in Dusseldorf, Germany. And when I say just returned from 24 hours ago at this time, you were just getting off the plane and going through customs. Now, Walter, you can always count on an engineer. You know, you bring something up and an engineer. Walter has found the dates for next year.
There you go, Walter.
Mesoplex, is that what's that? The name of the area that it's at?
28 August, 6 September. Yeah, that's. I'm not seeing your other note. It's Messer Dusseldorf, and it's the Dusseldorf World Trade Fairgrounds, and it is Caravan Salon. So, but I would like to know from our fans that are on here tonight, how many of you would be could consider taking a vacation and a trip, because we can get people to organize the trip, and it wouldn't have to be that you have to go like I do and spend 5 days at the show, but you could certainly go to the show for a couple of days and then visit Dusseldorf or maybe someplace else in Germany.
What other major city?
I'm going to do some research.
What other major city was it near?
I don't know. I flew into Dusseldorf and I flew out of Dusseldorf and I spent 3 hours downtown. I'd have to look at a map, but Dusseldorf is a gigantic. It's a big airport. I took flights in through Copenhagen. Copenhagen was just gigantic.
From Boston to Copenhagen, Bob.
Copenhagen, right.
Boston to Copenhagen, and then Copenhagen to Dusseldorf.
Right.
That's what it was.
Exactly.
Okay.
Folks, says they should really take input from owners. I hope you're talking about the American manufacturers, because quite honestly, it was obviously that the German and the European manufacturers are paying attention and certainly like it. I threw those other two pictures up because they stole the idea of teardrops from us. And there was this particular one is almost all steel, which is a little bit heavier, lighter type steel. But there was one similar to it. Let me just go back here. So they did like this, and
like
the small stuff is a big part of their business. This is actually solid wood, almost like a mahogany wood that was handmade. And this particular one, actually the one that I showed you before this, this one, the one in the lower left corner, that's actually made in the Ukraine. So some of these things come in from all over. There's Dutch units, there's French units. They're from all over. And I talked about the French. Let me show you the French one.
Time out.
Go ahead.
You've shown some good pictures. I'll give it to you. They're good pictures. Okay. But really everything, folks, and I think our viewers would agree on this, everything that you've shown is sort of kind of like, except that giant tank, sort of kind of like something that you'd see in the United States. I hope you took a picture of something that we're never going to see in the United States, that we may never see over here. Give me. Let's just test your ingenuity with that.
That we may never see.
Something that you're not going to see over here that you saw over there and you said, man, you know what? That's nice, but that would never make it in the U.S. Show me something unique. Unique. Oh my God. What the hell? What? Wait a minute. That looks like my waist. That looks like my waistline.
This is an expandable trailer, and I don't think you'll ever see it over here. What?
Horizontal or?
It's horizontal. So that the reason I showed the picture on the lower left, look at that bumper. Now, when this unit is folded in, or they condensed in, it's as wide as that bumper. So it's as wide as a normal trailer. It only takes 60 seconds to expand. And let me show you when it is fully expanded. Boom,
However,
boom.
I will say that if you put Jason Cole in the slide out, you're going to flip it.
No, this is more Joe style. I don't think Jason Cole could get in the door. So
Right.
we have to be practical. We have to be practical about this. Would be a good one for Rhonda and Joe, but it's much too small. So when you get inside, when you go to the left-hand side, right inside the door that you can see right in the middle is actually the kitchen area, right? That doesn't go anyplace. On the right-hand side is the bedroom, and on the left-hand side is the living room.
Is
So
it hydraulic? Is it hydraulic or is it?
Yeah, it's a hand remote control. So you drive in with this little thing that looks like a bubbly teardrop, and then you get all set up and you press a button and bingo. It takes all of 60 seconds to expand and work off of that. Let's talk a little bit about energy, because one of the big things in Europe is lightweight vehicles, more modern, contemporary, but they also have an eye towards energy conservation, and probably more so than in the United States. And I was extremely impressed with two things. If I can get rid of these two.
Now, I've got to give you credit for that, because, again, everybody knows we do not practice this show. We do not rehearse it in advance. And I said, show me something we don't. And imagine an American version of that might leak, huh?
Kessler, dinner is simmering. Come on, Kessler. You had enough advance notice that we were going to do this show, but you can come back and watch it later on. Here's two exciting trends. Who makes that?
Like the Winnebago trend, in
That's
fact.
what Sam said. Who makes that Z? On the expandable thing that looks like a big pod, I'll get you the information on it. In fact, I'm going to be probably doing an article for RV Business this week on just these units, so you might see that. But I'll get to that. Anyway, let me do that. Let me because I know this is new to everybody, and believe me, it was new to me, and that's why I spent so much time at the show. I want to put up my email so that if you have a question, just send me an email with your questions. And for Joe and Walter and Jason, I might be going out on a limb here because I don't know my schedule the weekend of your Family Fun Fest rally, but it is possible, we'd have to discuss it, that I could do a slideshow sometime during that, because I do want to come down. I think I'm going to do an interview with you guys for Rolling on TV. I know Michelle's camping down there the same weekend. She's going to do an interview at Normandy Farms. I might be able to be talked into doing a slideshow on this in your setting if you had time, but consider that. But let me go back to what I show here. In the bottom left is an entirely electric motorhome, all electric and lithium batteries. It's a Class C. It's got a little bit of an overhang on the roof. Right now, this is selling. If it were selling in the U.S., it'd be about $170,000. But this was the world premiere of this particular coach.
Made in where?
Huh?
Made in Germany?
John, I got to be honest. I'm not sure. I think it was Germany. Pretty sure this one was Germany. I can check on that. It was, but the world premiere got a lot of attention on it. And the one on the right is a Ford Transit, but it is a hybrid chassis. So there were people at the show that felt that there was actually some that went out on a limb and told me that within 5 years, every motorhome in Europe, in Germany, will be electric. They're doing so much development on lithium batteries and alternative energy, but that Ford Transit it's basically the same Ford Transit, but again, it's a camper van because see how that roof comes up. I mean, there was a lot of those, so it gives you, if you think back, it goes back to the old Volkswagen Westphalias back in the 1950s. But here we are, 50 years later, 60 years later, and they're making an incredible comeback. There were vehicles just like that Ford Transit, not on the hybrid. Now, Alco, I think it's Alco that makes the hybrid chassis for them. But there were vehicles, probably 20 different manufacturers that showed something just like that, a van or a camper van or an SUV with a roof that goes up so that your sleeping quarters is up on top. You have a little ladder on the inside. But when we look at energy conservation, that's something that that you just don't see.
Hey,
I mean, it's being done. I was just going to check real quick and see if I could get his.
The one that looks like the one that looks like a what do you call it? A minivan. That's the Ford Transit, or the Ford Transit is the Class C.
Right.
What?
That's that is more of a camper van over there versus a Class B than what we typically refer to as a Class B. And they also make something else that's interesting. Let me see if I can find it here. Let me kill these two. Catch up on your comments while I pull up two more pictures.
Okay. So we got Joe Cavosa. John, are you yes, I will definitely, absolutely, positively be at Normandy Farms the 13th through 15th. Bob asked, who makes that? So that's the one we couldn't figure it out. And Bauer 3x trailer made in France, and it comes in around $33,000 US. Is that Bauer? Walter, are you talking about the one that Bob was showing that was in the bottom left?
Was that the telescoping one, or?
Oh, that must be the telescoping one. Yep.
Right. That could be telescoping. Boom, 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 boom.
What you're doing?
Here's this little baby. Boom. And boom. So here you have what would be typically like our Class B Mercedes-Benz vans. But again, the stuff inside is modular. And this is actually a toy hauler. So you could take a small boat, but they showed it with an ATV in it. So when you pull the stuff aside or out, you can take your ATV with you. And again, you see the camper van top on that, even though I'd really classify this as a Class B. You can take your ATVs with you. So this is another thing that where there's a lot of similarities with the American marketplace, is all of their emphasis, much like our own, is on outdoor adventures, doing something with the RV. So the last weekend of the show, coming up this weekend, they have another show within the show. They have 3 days. They call it Tour Nature. Tour like in touring. And they have regular tents, hiking, fishing, boating, all the other things that you would do with an RV. So there's heightened interest over there. And that's why the camper vans are so popular over there, because they do want to get, it's urbanized. The young people want to live in the big cities because they're getting more urbanized. They want to be like what we have over here. And then you turn around and say, look if you live in the city over there, you got mostly train service. Their train service is so far superior to anything that we have. I mean, you've been over there, John. Trains are a way of life. And guess what? They work and they're on time and they're clean and the food is great. So the kids the younger generations can live in the cities, but then when they want to go out on the weekends, they want a camper van to do it. And that's their only vehicle.
Yep. And Bob, you were there during the month of August. And I know Italy, for example, and I'm not sure whether it's the same in France and Germany and Spain, but Italy pretty much closes down for the month of August. And you know what? They just we just saw more vans on the highways on August 1st. And it's a totally different way of life. Because in Europe, Bob, I'm sure they must have told you this, but they have much more vacation time over there to go out and explore stuff, because you can be in another country, just like in New England, where we're in the Worcester area, we can be in 3 or 4 New England states within an hour. Well, the same thing. And depending upon where you live in Italy, you can be in Switzerland, you can be in France, you can be in, cross over to Yugoslavia, or not in the country that formerly was Yugoslavia, whatever.
Yeah. Walter, I see your question. There was no Featherlight coaches in Europe, but again, they will spend the money for customized coaches, but they were not. Featherlight was not displaying there. This one here is an Eriba, E-R-I-B-A, Nova, more on the luxury end of the caravan marketplace.
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's a big one, and you can see the bunk beds in the back, and to the left of the bunk beds is a small dinette. Now you've seen a lot of that over here, but this was luxury in a travel trailer. And let me show you the bathroom. And you don't typically brag about your bathroom in a trailer. So let me see if I can find it now that I lost my place here a little bit. There we go. Okay.
While you're doing that, I want to say, Jason, I can see your post here. Thank you so much. I will. I'll get to you directly on that for all the details. Look at Ed LaTurco. Is Ed an engineer too, Bob?
Yes, he is.
See, there they go. You must have like 3 computers set up. So you can watch us on one.
It is
research and do fact checking on the third to make sure.
And I think I mentioned it. My relationship with Ed goes back almost 3 decades, maybe 4 decades. I made a cold call on one time. I'm one of those. I'm also one of those crazy salespeople that actually likes to make cold calls.
Yeah,
and, that's how our relationship started. And his 2 daughters, Lisa and Laurie, actually did the Pan Mass Challenge. Ed did it for several years, despite having beaten prostate cancer and has cancer again. But he rode right up until last year. But Lisa and Laurie jumped in this year to continue the Turco tradition. And he was a longtime deck employee, digital equipment, for those that are old enough to remember the real thing. But look at that bathroom on this trailer, and that's the type of stuff. Like I say, I mean, the quality in terms of what you see over there are amazing. John, I'm going to check through my photos here because I see
it really looks like a luxury hotel.
Huh?
More so than you'd never guess that was a bathroom.
Yeah, right.
A 39-inch monitor. Oh, a third. That's bigger than the TV we have, Walter. Easy to research while watching.
Geez, and I thought I was doing good, Walter. I just got 2 refurbished Samsung 32-inch curved monitors for $150 each. And I haven't set the one up at home. I set my one up in Maine, but it's fantastic. Now, is that 39 curved, Walter, or is it a straight unit? Yeah. So, John, catch up on comments. I want to see.
We're running up to the end of the show here. What I wanted to suggest to you is that in the remaining minute that you have left, is there any one thing that you want to tease for next week when we do this show? Because you know what? There's no way we saw as many pictures as you have, and maybe you can go a little bit deeper. And in the meantime, folks, if there's anything that you want to ask, you can just write to Bob if you put that email address up again, and we'll be able to include that in our content.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Because, like I said, I've got 1,500 photographs. So if there are certain things that we just didn't get to, or that you didn't see that you would like to see, if I have it, we can include it. And we can do part 2 next week, and give you some more insight into what they do. Let me show you. I want to show you this one. Let's see. I'm not sure if I showed it yet. I think I started to, and then I didn't. But this caught Rick's fancy when I sent him my first set of photographs from the hall one day. This is actually made in France.
Made with a British flag.
Got the British flag. So Rick sends me a note and says, "Hey, I really like that. I really like that British one." And I said, "Well, yeah, that's good, but it's made in France." But look at the front living area, which is kind of Y. They call it a Y-shaped front, which we have on ours in the United States. But go back to creativity, and our Y-shaped units, they wind up putting storage units in there or whatever. But look at the luxurious nature of the living room when you're sitting there. That was that was getting a lot of attention. I mean, everything was getting a lot of attention. You know, the beauty of that, and I look back and say, wow, 150,000 people just through today. But you got 13 buildings. So it really doesn't, I mean, it's not packed. You know, I look at our Boston RV show, and we got 200,000 square feet. I mean, we pack them in, 17,500 people. You get there on Saturday and Sunday. It's tight to get, you know what it's like, John, to get between the units and get in the units.
Yeah.
But you don't ever feel crowded at this show or in any of the buildings. And if I had to, you know,
on the Sunday or the Saturdays on the Boston show, it is crowded. And it's almost a detriment to somebody who's looking seriously because the sales rep can't spend time with them. Number one, because physically there's no spots to, you know, entertain their questions. And there's always somebody coming in and out. But if this is set up differently, it'd be interesting.
Well, and they were selling it. In fact, I don't think I can put my hands on it, but the early reports, says the interim results posted by motorhome manufacturers are just as outstanding. 70% of exhibitors started Caravan Salon 2019 with strongly increasing or increasing sales, while the other manufacturers seemed a high level. So basically, in our language, that they were increasing sales. They're seeing an increase in sales. And interesting enough, when we look at the demographics and the statistics that we play around with in this industry, the RV industry is going to be down a little bit in 2018, down a little bit more in 2019. It's still the third best year of our industry. We're going to be dipping closer into the 400,000s this year. Interesting enough, you see this display of product in 13 buildings and 2.4 million square feet. There's only about 180,000 units in 2018. 180,000. So they're about a third of the size, well, maybe 2/3, 1/3 of the size of our show.
But
they're projecting 210,000 in 2019. So they're on the way up. We're kind of leveling off.
We've got a couple questions here, really great questions. Susan Edgar, is that part of Gary's family?
I don't know.
Great show, guys.
Thank
sure.
You,
Thank you so much for the compliment. Ed says he's got a newcomer family member. And Ed, have them, you know what, whatever the time is, we're live at the same time. So if they're on Central Time Zone, then it's 4 in the afternoon. You know, West Coast, it's 4 in the afternoon. And then just figure it out otherwise.
Okay, Michelle, but Ed, you don't want to send them this show because they can't buy anything that we saw, anything that I showed you tonight. If you send me their email address, I will send them, or I can send it to you. I can send you my presentations from Boston this year, and send them those introductory presentations, and then have them give me a call, and I'll help them out on what they're doing.
Okay. And then
Michelle, I understand Europe is challenged to manufacturing in the U.S., but what about Canada?
Let's talk about that next week.
Yeah, let's carry that out next week, Michelle, because that's a complicated answer, but I'll address that next week. Yep. Okay, so Walter's got 39 curve. I should have known Walter would have been at the top of the class on that. I don't know why I asked that silly question. 14 years at Digital Equipment. So Ed Laturco, do you know Walter Swenson? If you're not, I'd be happy to introduce you to him. But
so Bob, good night, everybody.
Huh?
And by the way, we did see that Walter already shared and Audrey shared. For the other you folks out there, just take a second. Our job depends on this, that you share it with others. And we got the note that say Walter shared the video and Audrey Foley shared the video. We'd love to have the rest of you do that as well.
We're watching you guys. And also send us a note either individually to me or post it up if you would be interested in a group trip to Dusseldorf next year. Because I'll tell you, it is
without any commitment.
If you're an RVer and you love RVs and you love camping, there's simply nothing like this in the United States. I'd love to see something like this. I think maybe you would have to go to a Javits Center in New York or Chicago that would be able to take this kind of a show. But if they wanted a national consumer RV show in this country, this is what you model it after. Sue
Okay.
Walk is watching as well. Well, good evening, Sue Walk. Sue Walk's responsible for my success in the document imaging industry, but that's a long story.
Yeah.
And she took a chance on a young kid who thought he could make a national presentation, and the rest is history.
6 minutes over. The network is going to throw us off because we're holding up the start of the Patriots game. They won't do the kickoff until we get off the show.
Okay. All right. We should.
Bob, next week is going to be even more special because we're going to do part 2 of the show, but we have no idea where we will be next Wednesday night because we'll be coming back from Hershey. So we could be at a Denny's in Parsippany, New Jersey, doing this show with Bob in one booth and me in another booth, and people walking by making noises. But that'll be the fun part. So join us next week for that.
All right. All right. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it, and go camping, happy RVing, and we will see you next week somewhere, sometime. Well, same time, but somewhere.
Somewhere.
Good night, John.
Bye-bye.